So I will continue where we left. So in the last video we explained about what is a session and what is a work part, and in this video we'll continue what we have discussed during the last video. So here you see I have opened the same project that we were working before, and I also have a NX part. So in this NX part I have few features already created. People call it features, and there are different names. You can call it as you like. So now in this video we'll try to learn how to look through all the entities inside this feature tree, and then we will write some information. So the first point about to do this, it should be pretty much straightforward, because if you are aware of C# very well, then it's much more easier. If not, it's not a big thing. So I'll right click in this feature, and then I click on property. So here there is a name for it already provided. I provided some random name for testing. So here you see this. Here we also have information button here. So if I click on this information button, it gives few information about the selected feature. So here it says about the name, what is the status of it, and what are the different elements available inside this feature, and what is the value for it. For now, you don't need to know about what's inside this object, and it has few vectors or data planes, but for now it's out of the scope. So if you see here, it says the name, it has few properties, and it says it's in the layer 61. So each of this feature that you see here has its unique properties to it. If I close this and then do the same for the other data plane or other feature that I created, it gives a different information about that feature, and it also has other information that are available for this feature. Now what we can do is we can loop through all these objects what we see here, feature tree, it's what it's called, and we can get this information, and we can also write information to it. So I will open my Visual Studio. So here we were left with the same code where we had the work part. Now what we are going to do is we are going to access all the features out of the work part. To do this, it's since as I explained in the last video, what we are doing everything inside the session. So from the session, we have something called a work part. What is a work part? You can refer to the last video. So inside this work part, we are doing certain operations inside work part. So all the operations that what we do is sitting inside the class called work part class. So we need to get that class and then write information to get information out of it. So if I click on work part and then I'll paste it here. So here it gives all the information that belongs to the work part. Here there are many things you can do, but for now what we are interested is in the features. So I can scroll through this, and then I am trying to get the features. If I type FE, then it says, hey, I have a features inside it. So this features is returning a feature collection. What is a collection? It's for now you can think it as a array or a list. So it's other data type which is similar to an array or a list. So for now we'll get this feature. Either I can get this feature collection and then loop through it, but for simplicity purpose, I click on the here, and then if I say to array, then it gives me all the feature array. If I see here, it says it's returning feature array. So now we need to save it somewhere. So let me save it in a feature array. So we don't know in which namespace the feature is there, but for now we'll type that. We don't know that for now. Okay. So NX throws an error. It says, hey, I cannot able to assign to feature, and I also don't know what is feature you typed here. So here if you see, it says it's returning a feature array that is inside of NXOpen.features. So either I can type here NXOpen.features, it gives you the or you can use a statement called using. I think this using stuffs are pretty much from pretty much the straightforward from the in a C# side, where you can say it's like a namespace in C++. So if I type here features, then every features will be accessible. I don't need to type every time this NXOpen.features. I can remove it here. Since we typed it, then Visual Studio already prompt for us, saying, "Hey, I want to simplify the name because you already provided this using features." Yeah? So on the other hand, I can also remove this since the NXOpen is also used here. So now we have the feature array. Pretty much straightforward. Now what we need to do is we need to loop through, because I have multiple objects in the array. So if I ask now an array contains of all these features, in this case it is 3, but we can loop through each of these features and then see is there any information available, or any values that we can print in the listing window. Yeah. So here I would say people write for different ways, but the easier way I would say is a for each. So how to write a for each is simpler. You type for and then each. Here we have already a code intelligence which will give you a snippet of code. If you double click here and then press a tab in the keyboard, then it gives you this snippet. So what we are going to do, we are going to loop through a array. So what is array? So the array name is features. So I'm pasting it here. I'm copying and then pasting it. What type of array it is? It is a feature array. So my object can be feature. This is a standard practice, but you can either leave it as a variable var, which will also technically work. But this would be the standard practice, I would say. So and then the item we can give any name. In usually people write we are looping through each feature in an array, so it is called each feature. So you can write any name. It will accept any name that you provide. It doesn't care for it. Now we are looping through each and every array. So in the other way, quickly what we can do is we can write what is the type of this. For example, we can we can set information to it. We can get information out of it. There are different things that can be done using this feature. So here, how to get a type, for example, we don't know what type of object it is because it is a feature type. Inside this feature type, there can be everything that you create here is called features. I can create 10,000 features, but each of this has its own type. So this is a datum plane, and here it is a datum coordinate system, and this is a sketch. So it changes based on the feature. So if you right click and then go to the properties and then go to information. So in this information, you can see the type is sketch here. And if you do the same with the datum plane, it gives a different value, and the value is datum plane. So it's like uh, inheritance, I would say. Feature is a top level class, and there's some of these informations are inherited to the uh, datum plane, but don't get into, we don't need this information, no, all this knowledge now. But what you need to get from this thing is we can, feature is a generic name, and each of this feature has its own name or type. It's called a feature type. So now we know I have features in this, uh, and I need to get what type. So what if I type a type, then it says here there is a method which gives me the type, and here is also something called a feature type. It returns me a feature type. So now the Visual Studio throws an error because we are getting some information but we are not assigning to anything. So the standard practice would be, since it is a string here, since it is a string, I'll create a string variable, and then let's call it feature type. and we'll assign it to empty. So why we need to assign a string to empty is the junk values are getting created. These are straightforward answers for string. When we create the standard way of creation is when you create anything, you just need to assign it to empty or null so that some random values will not get generated. But we don't need to do this in C# or VB.NET or in Java. We have to do this in C#, I mean C++. But I usually do this. It's a good standard practice to assign some empty value to it. So I will change this to feature type, and then I'm assigning this value. So now we have the feature type out of it. Now what we need to do is I need to write this information into the listing window. So if you see my previous video, there is a way I explained you how to get this listing window and then write it. So for now, I will quickly write this code, and then um, I'll come back. So it's better to explain that. Let's continue with that, how to create a listing window object. So listing window is nothing but the information window that we see in NX. So for now, I'm creating a listing window, and this listing window is inside the session. So if I type the session, and then it prompts me, this is the listing window that object that I'm going to access. So using this, I can get the listing window object. I can write information, but I can do whatever I want inside the listing window. So for now, I want to see whether this listing window is, I need to open it, isn't it? Without opening, whatever we write doesn't make any sense. So I'll open it, and you also see here a method called listing window dot open, and there is one more method called isOpen. So it checks whether the listing window is already open. So what people usually do is they check whether the listing window is already open, and if it is already open, then no need to open it. So we can check that via this code, but for now we will open it. And then in the listing window, we are going to write the feature type. So if I click on here and then I'm pasting it, here I'm saying I want to write this. So that should be some function with the name called writeLine. That is write full line. So both that's the same thing. So usually I use writeLine, and then here what we are going to write is we are going to write feature type. So but I'll also prefer one more information. Let's say feature type. So what we are doing here is I'm concatenate. I have two strings. I'm joining both the two strings. It's called concatenation. And yeah, so now what we did in this thing is we are looping through all the features, and then we are writing some information into this feature loop. So I'll build it. So you see here it's getting built. There's no problem with the builder. Yeah, I'm copying this location. I'm going back to NX, looping through, and then pasting. If you want to know how to open this window, usually it is file and then execute NXOpen. If you click on this, you will get this window where you can pass your DLL, but usually there is one more shortcut called Control plus U. If you press this, it will also open the same. So press here, and then I'm pasting the location of this DLL and then pasting it. So what happens here is it looped through all. So it says I have one datum CSYS, datum plane. Again, there is one more datum CSYS, and then there is sketch. It should be technically three. I mean, what we are seeing is three here, but what we are getting here is four. So now we need to debug and see why we are getting this four. That we will do it in the next video. Thank you.